Let's see, simplify this complex expression. Um, I, obviously, we're not jumping in this from scratch, but I want to write down a few things that we know. First of all, was the definition of I. I is equal to the square root of -1. So I could have I, but I could also have, for example, I squared. Turns out when I square I get -1. Now, if I have I squared and I multiply it by another I, that's I cubed. Well, I squared is -1 times another I would be a negative I. So you can see I to the first power equals I to the second power is -1. I to the third is negative I. Now, if I take I and I raise it to the fourth power, not to the second, I raise it to the fourth power, that's I squared times I squared, which is -1 times -1, or +1. I like to think about that when I'm simplifying some expressions because it turns out anytime I have I to the fourth, that equals the number 1, which I consider pretty simple to deal with. So let's take a look at this. I've got -3 times I to the 21st power. Now, this is how I deal with these. You're more than welcome to develop or think about your own technique. But I try to rewrite this as I is to the fourth power. So if I look at I to the 21st power, that's equivalent to I to the fourth power raised to the fifth. Now, not quite. I'm getting close. I to the fourth power raised to the fifth power is 20 factors of I. I need to multiply that by an additional factor of I. So what I have here is I to the 21st is equivalent to I to the fourth raised to the fifth times I. In other words, 20 factors of I plus one more factor of I is 21 factors of I. The reason why I do it this way is I to the fourth equals 1. So what I have here is 1 to the fifth power times I. And I don't care how long you multiply 1 by itself, you always get 1. So this simplifies to 1 times I, or just plain old I. Okay, so I to the 21st power is equal to I. Now that's a bit of thinking, but it certainly makes this simpler to look at. So now I have -3I, or I'm sorry, -3 times I. Now I need to deal with this square root of -12. Well, first of all, that's the square root of -1 times the square root of 12. We know the square root of -1 equals I by definition. So if you look what I have right now, I've got -3I squared, and yeah, we're going to visit that again, times the square root of 12. The square root of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. The square root of 12 is the same thing as the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 3. When I look at this, I can see, oh, I have a perfect square inside of root 12, and the square root of that perfect square is 2. So the square root of 12 is equal to 2 times the square root of 3. So I'm going to now replace root 12 with 2 times the square root of 3. We're still not done. I squared equals -1, right? If I have I times I, it's equal to -1. So I'm going to transform this further. This is going to be -3 times a -1 times 2 times the square root of 3. I think we're almost finished. -3 times -1 is +3, and +3 times 2 is 6. So this is 6 times the square root of 3.